I'm Donna Davis, and I'm here with Richard Cole, the founder of Cole's Wild Bird Products. How are you today, Richard?
I'm great today.
Good.
It's a good day.
Yeah, it's
Almost
a little
springtime.
cool outside, but yeah, you
like
can
it should
tell
be.
that
Yeah.
spring is definitely in the air, and
Yes.
that brings us to so many points. Spring's a fun time to love the birds, right?
It's a great time because
Yeah.
so much is going on. This is the beginning of their big season. The ones that are migratory have just shown up. They're coming in now to get ready for the breeding season, but they breed up here and then they will go back to South America, Central America if they're migratory.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of waiting for them.
And there's so much that you can do to get ready for the birds. We're going to talk about some creative feeders that you can do yourself, or things that you can do with feeding the birds, projects you can do with like your children or grandchildren that can be fun and don't really cost you anything, because birds will pretty much eat out of anything. They're not too particular, do you think?
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not at all.
So
And,
we're going
it's fun to build something.
Right,
just
build
to
something
feed 'em. Yeah.
together, right. So we're going to talk about some nesting boxes and also things to do, of course, with your nesting boxes and your feeders. And Richard always has some great insights about things to do and things not to do.
Yeah.
Over the years, I'm sure you've made some of the mistakes that you can teach other people to not make, right?
Most of them, yeah. Yeah, most of the mistakes I've made.
Yeah, let's talk first about this bluebird video footage you sent us. My goodness, I have never seen somebody feeding at the same time.
And that
Look at this.
That was not many. You couldn't see the rest of them waiting to come down. We've never seen that many. And I've had reports from several other people in the area within 10 miles that they had this huge amount. Don't know why, but this time of year, bluebirds are not highly migratory or anything, but they, we think, tend to move south in the wintertime. Some of them will move on down and then move back up during the breeding season. So we think there was just a huge number coming through our area and hanging out in the area wherever they could find food. And I don't know how much they cost me the few days they were there, but I'm telling you, I could put food out in that feeder, like a quart of food out in that feeder every 30 minutes.
That's
And that was not the only feeder.
Look at them.
There were two of them, plus two feeders out in the yard.
That's amazing.
And they were just going crazy. It was just like
What happened that caused
hours.
this frenzy, though? Do you know?
They're hungry.
Why so hungry, though?
There's not much food available. We're at the time, I used to call it just when they need it the most.
Yeah.
People, it gets cool in the fall. Oh, you got to feed the birds. They're going to, it's cold. They got to feed the birds. Well, there's tons of food available in the fall.
Yeah.
All the crops that are out there are becoming, all the berries, all the seeds are ready at harvest time. And then as they move through the wintertime, the food becomes more and more scarce. So when you get down toward spring or head toward spring, you're in late winter.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of food out there. And these guys, this ready for breeding season, they're trying to get ready, and they're hungry, and it's cold.
Oh, that's such great
So when they find a food source, they will do exactly what you see here.
I have
They will
never
mob it.
had the pleasure of that. That is so fun. I love that you got that. And I love that the feeder is literally rocking back and forth, but they don't care. Nobody cares. They're along for the ride, right?
And there were probably literally at least 50 or more birds up in the trees behind here waiting for a shot to get onto this feeder. And
that's so fun.
Maybe that many more on 2 or 3 other feeders in the yard.
Yeah, that's great.
It was fun. That's one of the pleasures of bird watching.
Absolutely,
Just every now and then, something like that happens, and you just stop.
Yeah,
and
you go, where's my phone? I got to get some video.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that was my treat for the month.
Yeah.
To see that.
And, and now it's a treat to share with all of us. Yeah. So I do want to remind our viewers that please write in wherever you live, where you're watching us, and feel free to post any questions that you have or any pictures that you've taken. And speaking of pictures, I want to show some of the pictures that we've gotten in our Cole's calendar contest that show some really creative, fun feeders that people can use and make. And some of these, I think, make great photo props.
Yes.
So let's take a look at some of those. This is a very simple feeder where you can, just put right in the middle of your flowers. And what a great background, huh?
Yeah, pretty birds, pretty flowers. And the feeders like that are fine. You just put something out, put a little bit of food in there, and they'll come right to it.
Yeah. We had lots of, look at this. These were some of my favorites. So she's got a board there, and you see there's sunflower, there's some blend
Yeah.
of food there, and then, or maybe it's getting kicked out of the, you know,
hard
of
to
the
say,
little
yeah.
cup. But that's a very delicate, you could tell, very delicate cup. Probably not one you could leave out there, would you think?
That was worth a picture, though.
Yes.
I like
yes.
that.
Really, really makes a nice picture. Now,
Oh, yeah.
another feeder that's pretty simple and easy, and as you can tell, bluebirds love it.
And these are fine. They hold a little bit of food. You never want to just fill them up too far, because as they dig, and if it's got shells on it, bluebirds won't be doing this because they're not cracking the shells, but other birds will be cracking the shells, and the shells will build up a layer over top of the rest of the food. And also, if it rains, there's going to be a problem. So this is
Yeah.
fine in nice weather.
Yeah.
If it rains, you're going to have soup, so just throw it
Yeah.
out. But this is fun.
And it looks like they've got some dried mealworms there.
Yes.
Always popular.
Birds
for the
love
bluebirds.
those.
Yeah. This makes a great picture. I love the little, like a little tea kettle maybe,
Yeah.
and it just, what a great picture that makes. But I love the use that we see, the creativity that we see
Yeah.
in the Kohl's customers who send in
Yeah.
their pictures.
It shows
So
they're just
pretty.
having fun with their birds, and they're enjoying them,
Yeah.
and that's fun.
And all the snow, and you see the little bits of snow on them. And right here, so
Oh, yeah.
easy. You could tell they just put down some peanuts in this beautiful flower. All right, you know, the berries and everything. Just
And blue jays love peanuts in the shell like that.
yeah, you can tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they can crack it open pretty
I
easily,
used to put
right?
them out on the back porch, and just like that, and they'd come and grab them and carry them off. And one blue jay just got, so if it'd see me, it'd come start following me around the yard.
No,
Then I'd have a peanut or two in my pocket
that's
and
awesome.
throw it out, yeah.
Yeah.
And it got so it would just finally land on the deck and come into the house. It would walk in, pick up a peanut.
No way.
Yeah, you put it on the carpet about 5 feet inside. It would look around, walk in, get the peanut, and walk out and fly away.
Oh my gosh, what an experience. What an amazing experience you've had. And look at this one, another dried mealworm. Just enjoying that on a teacup. So pretty. Like I said, I love these. And again, she just put peanuts in the top of a
Yeah.
pumpkin.
That's
and what a great
interesting.
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have to have anything fancy.
No.
Yeah. Like you said, you can't leave it out there to get rained on.
Right.
This I thought was so interesting, and I love this picture. And I'll tell you one of the things I love the most about it is that for the longest time I saw this picture and I loved it, but I didn't see that extra little bird down there. You know, you've got the 3 cardinals and then a little, I think it's a little finch down there that you can easily miss in the whole thing.
I did miss it.
I know, and so many people have missed it, but it's so beautiful, isn't it? And what is this? Just a couple of little, you know, ordinary cups, but beautiful arranging, I think,
Yeah,
with
somebody
the
put some little
berries in
berries
the
and stuff right
background.
behind it.
Yeah,
And it looks nice.
yeah.
Makes a great picture.
Photo props and feeders all in one.
Yeah.
And this,
Nice
of
shot.
course,
Yeah.
yes. Look at these little fancy feeders and great background shots. I thought that was fantastic. What a fun thing to do, though. I thought
Yeah.
with kids, grandkids, you know, that's a great project. And I'm not sure if we have any more of those. I think that might
one of
be the
things about
last one.
Doing the photography like that, and especially
Yeah.
with the kids and all involved, you, in the modern time, you're able to take a shot or two like that and show it to the kids. The kids
Yeah,
could have seen
right
that picture.
then and there.
Right, look what they just, and you can't see it with your naked eye. It's too
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
Or the camera. So now you don't have to go get them developed. You can just show pictures and get the instant gratification
Absolutely.
of what you're doing. Yeah.
What a fun thing to do. Well, I pulled up, I wanted to show, this is from Country Living magazine, and I wanted to show just a few ideas. And Richard, you've done this. This just a piece of wood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done that. You attract a lot of woodpeckers with this,
Yes.
right? You
Yes.
put them in a piece of wood. This one shows you might have some Kohl's blend and some with sunflowers and that kind of thing. And then you just mix it with a little peanut butter.
Yeah.
And put it in those.
And the coal suet.
And there you
can
are.
pop it. Oh, that's one of my big logs right there.
Yeah.
I got to liking these things so much. We just made a big one.
That's huge.
And that's
what do
sitting
you
on a-
put in there?
I put in coal suet.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll put other things, just like
Yeah.
you were showing, some seeds, some leftover stuff. I'll just mash it and put some peanut butter in there. But I'll just take suet, just push it in there with my thumbs. And
Oh, that's
how I mount that on the deck, by the way. Just drill a hole in the bottom of it, put a
Yeah.
pipe fitting with a flange on it.
That is fantastic. And
The birds love that thing.
what's the most common bird you see there? Is it woodpeckers?
No, it's a little bit of everything.
Everything?
Chickadees and titmice are there a
Wow.
lot.
Yeah.
Occasionally you see a cardinal on it. You see the woodpeckers on it a lot.
Yeah.
So 2 or 3 kinds of woodpeckers, and sometimes the pileated would come by.
Yeah.
So all the woodpeckers love it. It's a good mix.
Yeah.
And all the birds will eat suet.
Yeah.
Even the warblers. You'll see warblers and things up on that thing on the perch. They're not really good at hanging, but they're good at sitting on the limbs
Yeah.
and reaching it. So
That's great. And you don't have to worry about that suet like getting gross or anything. It's in the little tree, right?
it's gone too quick.
Is it?
Yeah, but anything
love
like that you put out, keep your eye on it.
Yeah.
If you've got a suet cake, or especially in a log like that where it may be
Yeah.
hard for to get to all of it, clean that log
Yeah,
occasionally.
because it can get, gross.
My
Yeah.
big log got hosed out every now and then. We
Yeah.
would take it and bleach it occasionally.
Yeah.
Just keep it clean and watch for any signs of mold or anything.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Good advice. Okay, so we've got a few more that are fun. Look at this pine cone bird feeder. All this takes is a string, a little bit, some pine cones, and they wrap up again using the peanut butter to hold it, and then wrap it in some seeds.
Yeah. This is a
Aren't these
favorite
fun?
project kind of the thing that
Yeah.
I see people do. Is that, oh, you're going to make bird feeders out of pine cones and
Yeah.
peanut butter. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's a squirrel's favorite feeder.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make one of those and you put it close to where the birds are used to feeding,
Yeah.
there's a really good chance they're going to see that, they'll hop on it and eat it.
Yeah.
If it's just, once every now and then you do this on peanut butter and put it outside on your porch, you may or may not see a bird on it because they're not used to coming there for
Yeah.
food and they're not used to that looking like a bird feeder. But give it a shot.
Isn't that great?
It's fun kind of stuff
I
to
thought
do.
that was fun. Now this one I thought was really fun and cute and something you totally do. I love the recycling thing of this. Just it's a milk
Yeah.
carton, some pretty colors on it, and I think these are popsicle sticks right here. And then
That's
to cut
kind of
out that
clever.
little roof,
It really is clever.
and then a place for the bird to stand.
It's kind of like a bird house, but it's really not. It's a bird diner.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you just make the hole in it and you reuse something that, would have just been trash around your house. What a great idea, right? Now, yeah, that's the branch feeder again that we're seeing. And then dinnerware, I think we've seen a little of that, little saucer and a little bowl, another little saucer. And that's basically as simple. And they recommend
interesting,
melamine
yeah.
because it doesn't break,
Yeah.
like glass would
Yeah.
break. And something very simple like these little colorful bird feeders, that'll work. And this cookie cutter bird seed feeders, I thought that was an interesting one. This is a bird feeder that's toddler friendly, so anybody
Really?
could do something like that. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And have you ever done a wine bottle feeder, bird feeder, Richard?
No, but I've got some wine bottles that could be put to use.
Yeah, so simple to make, just a little creativity, soda bottle, bird feeder. I don't imagine something like this would last very long, though, would it?
And it all depends, yeah. And
Yeah.
how functional it really is depends. But it's a fun little short-term project. And
Yeah.
hey, give it
and
a
maybe
shot.
just for a few pictures. And
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the teacup candle. So this one, I thought this was interesting, just for some water. To put some rocks so that it's not too deep and everything, giving them a
Well,
water source.
actually, I like that idea. Because what that'll do for you, it gives you an elevated place for them to get water that looks like it's fairly stable. It's not just a bowl. It's not going to slosh out with every little teeny
Yeah.
breeze because you've got the rocks in there to stabilize that water, and the birds can hop right in there and stand on the rocks and try. I like that.
Yeah, isn't that a great idea?
It is a great
And then
idea.
another use of dinnerware. You don't like those bowls anymore? There you go. And then just a cute little acorn bird feeder I thought looked nice.
Interesting.
And again, the pine cones
Yeah.
that you can use. But and then last but not least, the glass shade bird feeder. So these just can give you a few ideas. But of course, if you want something long term, let's talk about what's the best bird feeder, and I'm guessing it's a tube, if you want to just have the small birds, like you're not wanting to feed the starlings and the crows and everything.
There's certainly a small bird bias, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, if you want to stop the big birds, and it's not easy to do because they're aggressive also.
Right.
But a tube feeder is probably the way to go, and also with shorter perches. And some feeders you can get have shorter perches, or you can just cut some perches. Or pull the perches out. They can clean, but you probably need perches for like chickadees and nuthatches and things. They can
Now
hang
that's
there.
a good one, right? For the small birds?
That's a good one for small birds.
Yeah.
That's the one you saw the horde of birds attacking.
Yeah.
It's just a little simple. It's the Bountiful Bowl, Cole's Bountiful Bowl feeder. One of my favorites because you just dump stuff in there. So easy to clean.
Yes.
And you know when it's empty, and the birds can get in there, multiple birds at one time. So you can also lower that lid down.
Yeah.
Really low, and I'll do that sometimes if starlings become a problem during part of the season.
I'll
drop the lid way down to the lid, almost over the bowl completely, so the starlings have a real hard time getting under the lid.
They still try, right?
They try, yes, but most of them can't do that. But the little birds will quickly learn to flip up in there. Cardinals, not so much, but the little birds will still be able to get to it, and the starlings won't be able to get all your food.
Yeah. So the important things, you have some basic kind of rules for your bird feeders. One, keep them clean, right?
Yes. It's hard for people to do that. And I know because it's hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, they're supposed to be immaculate. But we all look at well, maybe tomorrow I'll clean that feeder. But yeah, you keep the feeder clean. One of the reasons I really love tube feeders, like the Cole's tube feeders, is they're high quality plastic and they're easier to clean.
Oh, you pop that bottom off.
Pop the bottom, pop the top off, throw it in a dishwasher, or hit it with a brush thing, and it's clean, and hang it right back out there. And there's no worry about mold and mildew hanging down in the crevices of the wood.
Yeah.
Wooden feeders are pretty. They're interesting. They're traditional looking. Very hard to clean.
Yes.
Very hard to clean. Tube feeders are kind of the modern way, and they work very well. Handle almost any kind of food you want to put in them, and they're so easy to clean.
And these are really durable. Some of the feeders we showed are fun and creative, but they're not very durable or practical to keep out for a long time. But the Cole's feeders are great for that.
Yes, they are. High quality plastic, and that kind of plastic has been used for quite a few years, and it's just because it works and it withstands a lot of abuse, and you'll get many years of of use out of those feeders, even out in bright sunlight, which would normally damage a lot of plastics.
Yeah.
This will hold up very well, and the birds love it.
Tubezilla, that allows you to get the bigger birds, like the cardinals, right?
Yeah, you can't tell from this picture, but that's a big feeder.
Yes, I know. I've carried them. They're heavy.
That's really big, and the advantage of that is you don't have to fill it as often when you have a lot of birds.
Yeah.
It's like 4 times the feed of a smaller tube.
Yeah.
Or 5 times, really 6 maybe. And the birds like it, and it's attractive, and it shows up, and they have no problem eating from it.
Yeah.
My favorite tube feeder is what that is.
Yeah.
My favorite tube feeder. And I've got my choice. I can have almost any tube feeder I want, but that hangs out on my porch, and I like it best.
Well, one of the things I really like about your yard and going there and seeing how you interact with the birds is that it's not all Cole's feeders. You use a variety of ones where, you're like the tree log, where you make it yourself, and then you've got some platform feeders, and you use those to attract all the critters. But we do want to talk about how you keep the squirrels away. That's another rule. So the first one is keep them clean, keep the squirrels away. So let's talk about how do you do that.
Shotgun. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Of course you are.
That used to be one of the few ways you could do it, by the way. There's you used to call it 5 ways to stop squirrels. But you can do, the easiest thing to try that's semi-effective is called diversion feeding. You give them a place to eat close by and put some stuff out there for them, so they'll tend to go there first because it's easy. I have a platform, wooden platform about 1 foot square, hangs on a bird feeder hook.
Yeah.
It's wide open, and it's right beside a fence railing. Squirrels can hop right in.
Yeah.
Fine, because that's where they'll go first. They won't get on or try to get on my feet. They can't. And so if you want to try diversion feeding, that's good, and the platforms are good for other birds. Now, there's a lot of squirrel-proof feeders out there. There's ones that have a sheath around the outside of them that when the squirrel gets on it, they're heavy. They'll pull the sheath down because it's spring-loaded and covers up the ports. There's probably 10 different versions of that out there. So, most of them are pretty decent.
Yeah.
And they work very well. There's some that have motors at the bottom of them, so when the perch has some weight on it, the perch starts spinning and throws them off. They're okay. They're a lot of fun. There's a picture of one right there.
Oh, gosh, that is fun.
It is fun.
It's just entertaining.
And it's amazing. These squirrels just keep getting back up there.
Yeah.
And then they're afraid to let go. And it doesn't seem to hurt them or anything. I've seen them get dizzy.
Yeah.
But
they get off that, and then they go down in the yard and start falling over.
They're a lot of fun. And they're decent feeders.
And baffles, too, right?
And there's baffles. You can have a baffle over the top, and the squirrel might not be able to get around the baffle. But if the baffle, that's a baffle on the top right there, but it's not. That's really a rain guard.
Yeah.
And below that feeder on the pole is
there you go, right there.
Is really a squirrel or raccoon baffle that stops animals from climbing up that pole, so the squirrel can't get up there either. The only way that's squirrel-proof is that so far away from the trees, the squirrel can't jump there except for one squirrel.
Oh, wow.
One time made it
the
from
Simone
a tree.
Biles of squirrels.
Oh, it was. I've got a video of it. I think we may have shown it some years ago. The squirrel jumped from a tree. It's literally a 15-foot jump. But it made it because it went way up the tree and jumped down, and then hit the top of that baffle and actually was able to hang on to it.
They're so smart, and they have so much agility and power. It's amazing. Yeah.
They can beat you every time. It's the feeder like you saw in that video with a big baffle at the bottom is away from the tree, so pretty much that works. You can do similar type of feeders as long as they're away from things the squirrel can jump from.
Yeah.
Or way out on a limb with a baffle over the top that they can't get around and far enough in the trunk they can't jump from. Past that, you have to do, about the only thing you can do is something like Cole's hot meats.
Yes, that helps.
There's several of the Cole's feeds that are treated with capsaicin, which is pepper, and highly concentrated pepper, and it makes it unpalatable to squirrels because they're mammals and they can taste the heat. Birds can't taste that heat.
Yeah.
So they can eat peppers and all. It doesn't bother them a bit. So the squirrels tend to stay away from foods like that. That will allow you, and speaking of it, there's some right there. That will allow you can put that in a bowl right off your deck. You can put that on your deck railing.
Yeah, we've used it
you can
quite
put it
a bit.
Anywhere because the squirrels will come up and eat a little bit of it and decide that this is not for it. It's too hot.
Right.
So I use that in a feeder that they can get to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The little bowl feeders you saw, the bountiful bowls. If I'm running bird seed like that in there, it's treated like that. If you have your own bird seed, you can always find something called flaming squirrel seed sauce.
Yep.
And we've taken the hot stuff and we bottled it.
Yeah.
In something called flaming squirrel. You can take
add
that
it to any
and put it
type
on
of
your own
food.
seed.
Yeah.
And that will slow them down.
Yeah.
And so it gives you a chance. Oh, and there it is there.
Yeah.
And that'll give you a chance to enjoy the birds up close. And some of those other feeders that you saw, that there's no way you can stop a squirrel, and the squirrels won't tear it up. With this, that won't really happen.
Yeah.
So there's ways to get around this. Yeah.
So Sharon King writes, squirrel baffles work for me. I have as many as 6 to 8 squirrels in my yard. So we're glad they work for you. That's great. And we want you to share your ideas about the things that work for you. Use our Cole's Facebook page. And again, if you have any questions for Richard, he's the expert. He's been through it. So let's talk a little bit about hummingbirds.
Well, you know what the big question this time of year is? Where's my hummingbirds? Yeah, I had hummingbirds last year. I had a lot of them, thousands of hummingbirds. I don't have any this year. Well, it's because you're in North America, and they've been spending their wintertime down in Central America, where I should have been actually. Belize would have been nice. But they're moving in now.
Yes.
Here we are, early March. They're probably well into from the coast down in the Gulf of Mexico and moving north. So we're talking about the ruby throats, and of course in the west, they'll be coming up through Mexico across dry land. But the ruby throats will be crossing the Gulf of Mexico, hitting the south, and moving on up. And you can see charts, and you can look them up, and they'll show you about when they're going to be arriving. typically, in my mind, I say don't worry about it till at least mid to late March. You may see one earlier, especially if you live south, but most likely, if you're in the mid-area of the United States, you're probably looking at early April.
Yeah.
Before you're likely to see one. Mid to late April, you should see quite a few more. And by May, you should have your normal group of hummingbirds around. They're establishing their nest. They're getting ready to breed. If you're in Canada, that'll be a little later, and they're going to leave a little earlier.
Yeah, and we have a migration map. It's not as good as some of the ones we've shown before, but you can get an idea, like right through here, all this red. Now that is March 16th through the 31st. Right in here. Now, to go a little bit, more north, you're looking at like April or so, I think, when you're going to get your hummers. But anyway, there are a lot of maps out that you can find online to tell you when they're coming.
Yeah, there is. And you'll see these early dates. Remember, that's when the early date is that they're going to start arriving. And their mission in life at this point in time is not to meander and is to get to the breeding ground. The males come in first. They're headed for a breeding ground to stake out their territory and wait for the females. They want to claim their territory. So they're not going to hang around your feeders. You may have 2 or 3 birds and never see them. They're going to tank up and move because they've got to get to where they're going.
They are on the move.
And it's going to be later in the year when the females start coming in, you'll start to see more birds. Then they're nesting, you won't see as many because they got other things to do.
Yes.
Then where you will see most birds is after the young are out and flying. You're talking about June, July.
Yeah.
And so don't worry too much if you don't see a lot of birds until July and August. All the babies are out. Everybody starts moving south. And in the south, that's a treat because we see all the birds that were up north coming through.
Yeah.
And we'll see a lot more birds down here then.
Well, it's certainly something to look forward to. We do have a little bit of video of hummingbirds, I believe we do. And Richard has real quick, like 3 tips or things you don't want to do with your hummingbird feeders, right?
Well, the main thing, you can't emphasize this enough, keep them clean. That's the reason I love the Coles hummingbird feeder. It's easy to clean. There's a brand out there, Four Fountains. It's a great feeder. But it's so hard to clean because there's so many little parts and crevices that it's just hard to clean. It's a nice feeder, but this one right here doesn't have the problems that it has. It's easy, it doesn't drip. The birds love it, and it'll hold about 8 ounces, which is plenty for a while. And you're fortunate if you have to fill it up once every other day because then you got a lot of birds. But it's so easy to clean, and the birds like it. You can see that. And with the railing being up high like that, if you're inside looking out and the bird's on the backside of the feeder, it's raised up so you can see it.
Yes,
and,
I love that.
Yeah, so that's a great feeder. And
keep the fluid clean, change it out.
Pop the lid off.
Yep.
Rub it out. Put some fresh stuff back in it. A hint, if there's one, I don't make the nectar every single time I need it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I have a gallon jug.
Yep.
And I mix it a gallon at a time. And that'll last me a while, depending on how many birds are coming in. And then all I have to do is get it out of the refrigerator, pour it in the thing, put the lid on it, put it back in the fridge. And it makes it so easy to do.
I make a concentrate. I read somebody said, make a concentrate, and then you can do it 1-to-1, but then you pour like the 3/4 in every time, so I'm not having to keep as much in the refrigerator. Either way, it all works. It's
as long as you don't try to feed
the
concentrate because
of course
too
not.
much. Yeah,
it's always the 4-to-1 ratio.
If you're mixing your own, and Coles has a great formula that really mimics the natural sugars they find in plants. There's 4 types. But if you're mixing your own, just make sure that you use 4 parts water, 1 part sugar.
Yeah.
It's 4-to-1.
You do not want to give them extra sugar. People might think, I'm doing it fair, maybe it's sweeter. No.
Talk about things not to do.
Never use honey.
There are people who have said that they put artificial sweetener in there because they don't want the birds to have so much sugar.
No.
What can you say?
Never.
They have to have that sugar. That's what they do.
For it. Right.
They're made for it. They eat 2 things. They eat nectar, which has sugar content, and they eat insects. They live on the insects. That's their meat. That's their protein. The sugar's their energy. And anything past that, you shouldn't be doing. Coca-Cola, people mix tea, mixed it too strong. No, none of that. Just stick with the very
And
basics.
no dyes, right?
No dyes at all. No,
They don't need it red.
They don't know. And, they're drinking this stuff, so they just don't need it. The feeders have red on it.
Right.
They don't need red coloring in it.
No, they
So-
don't. And let's talk, we're running out of time because it always
Oh, no.
flies by, but
Yeah.
let's talk really quickly about nesting boxes. Some things that, you can do with your nesting boxes, and one thing you don't want to do is buy a decorative nesting box and put it outside. That is one that a friend gave to me. So tell us what's wrong with this, Richard. What's wrong with this picture?
I don't know where to start.
There's so much
Other
wrong.
than sitting on the ground in a corner, it's got a hole in there, and who knows what's inside. I think it's pretty much open. I've seen these before. And that's not a nesting cavity where they can go in and put straw and get in and out easy. So there's a lot of, and the homemade stuff, and the fancy little gift stuff, typically do not make good birdhouses. Sometimes wrens can use some of that stuff because they're nook and cranny nesters, not true cavity nesters.
Yeah.
So you'll find them in your garage in a cardboard box and stuff like that. But for most birds, the bluebirds, the chickadees, the nuthatches, and the titmice, we call our typical cavity nesters, are looking for a little hole. Typically, a bird box should be 4.5 inches by 5 inches square, and about 10 or 12 inches high, with the hole a good 8 or 10 inches off the floor. 9 inches is fine. That gives them enough room to build their floor up with nesting material, and they can get in and out. I typically, if I'm buying a box or constructing my own, take the inside of the door and run some horizontal grooves across it.
Yeah.
So that they can have something to grab onto with their claws to climb out.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have to fly out. They can climb out.
Oh, that's good.
And they can generally jump pretty well, too.
Yeah.
But then, just make sure it's clean. And after the first season, get the old stuff out. Right after the birds have left, take it out, throw it away, rinse out the box, let it dry, put it back. Bluebirds will be back 2 or 3 more times. Generally, they'll do 2, 3 broods a season. So then it's like, oh, you threw their house away. No, it's nesting material, it's old bedding, and it's soiled, okay? So just get rid of it. They have no trouble in about a day or day and a half. They'll fill that box back up with straw. If you don't take the old stuff out, they'll build on top of it, which means that their next nest is really close to the hole.
And we
which
don't want
means
that.
that a raccoon will come or another predator will come, stick their hand in and grab babies because they can reach in.
Yeah,
So you
we
want
don't
them down
that.
several inches
Yeah.
from the top of the hole. So just clean the box out. It takes care of parasites, and it takes care of the problem of them building on top of it and being too close to the hole so predators will get them.
And disclaimer here, just to let you know, I don't have that where the birds could get in it. I faced it toward today for a picture, but I have it like facing the wall.
I
So
said,
no
well, they
birds
probably
could get
wouldn't
in it.
do it anyhow.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned. But I
they're
didn't want to
pretty
even
smart.
take a chance.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do want to tell you what Kathy DeSalette says. Awesome detail on what they do when they first get wherever we live. She's talking about the hummingbirds, but I always know they will be hungry even if we don't see them. Your food is definitely the best to travel with to our summer home in Maine. No need to make any when we get there. Oh, that's great. That's so nice to hear, Kathy. And we love the comments. So, and we do want to remind people we have a new Facebook group called The Lazy Birder. We'd love for you to join us there and share your pictures and your experiences. Because the whole goal here at Coles is to enhance your birding experience and build a community of people who all love feeding birds.
And we got started doing that. This was for ourselves and just got kind of carried away. But we found that birds were exciting to watch. They're fun to watch.
They're beautiful.
And they're beautiful. And I love watching them and observing them. And it really makes me feel good. I feel like, well, I'm helping them out.
Yeah.
You know, they can find food on their own. They're not going to starve to death. But it's when they have an easier meal, it makes me feel good that I can give that to them.
Well, that restaurant that you opened today that you showed with the bluebirds, I think you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Chef Richard. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on For the Birds with Richard Cole.